Okay, you have to hear this. Back in 1928, a book came out that was so powerful, so revolutionary, that the story goes it was actually pulled from the shelves. Why? Because it was the result of a 20-year mission to figure out the secrets of the world's most successful people. And nope, I'm not talking about Think and Grow Rich. This was something else, something much bigger. Yeah, we're talking about Napoleon Hill's original beast of a book, The Law of Success. For almost 100 years, there's been this legend swirling around it, a story about suppression. The idea that this wasn't just another self-help book. It was a literal blueprint so effective that it actually threatened the people in power. And look, this isn't some new internet conspiracy theory. At the very heart of this legend is the rumor that the powers that be believed if everybody got their hands on this systematic guide to creating wealth and power, well, the entire structure of society could be turned on its head. I mean, that's a pretty scary thought if you're the one sitting at the top, right?
So that's the big question, isn't it? The one we're going to dig into right now. What on earth did Napoleon Hill find out during those 2 decades of research that was considered so threatening? What were these secrets that were supposedly so powerful they had to be hidden away?
Well, to get the answer, we have to go back, way back to the beginning. See, this wasn't just some book Hill cooked up on his own. Oh no. This was a mission, a challenge handed down to him by one of the wealthiest and most powerful men on the planet. So picture this, it's 1908. A young journalist named Napoleon Hill lands an interview with the steel magnate Andrew Carnegie. Hill thinks it's just going to be a quick story. Instead, it turns into a 3-day-long test. Carnegie sees this spark in Hill and hits him with a life-changing challenge. I want you to spend the next 20 years of your life studying men like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and John D. Rockefeller, and you won't get paid a dime for it. Hill, incredibly, says yes, and that's what kicked off this 2-decade quest to build what they called the philosophy of achievement. And this was the result. Not just a book, but a gigantic 1,170-page course. It was the raw, totally unfiltered findings from 20 years of research, finally published in 1928. It was supposed to be the definitive guide to achieving anything you wanted in life. Now, most of us have heard of Hill's other book, Think and Grow Rich, right? That came out 9 years later. So here's how to think about it. If Think and Grow Rich is the movie trailer, then The Law of Success is the full 3-hour director's cut. It's the whole shebang, while the bestseller was a shorter, more streamlined version for the masses.
All right, so let's get into these so-called dangerous ideas. What was the first, most important law that Hill discovered? It was a concept he came to call the mastermind.
So the mastermind principle is this. When you get 2 or more people perfectly aligned working in total harmony towards the same goal, their brain power combines to create a third invisible mind. It's this incredible force of synergy that's way more powerful than any of the individual minds on their own. It's like you're creating a new shared intelligence. You know, Hill found this wasn't just about good networking. He believed it was a literal fusion of brain energy. Like he says here, you literally absorb the habits and even the power of thought from the people you hang around with most. So your inner circle, it's not just a social choice, it's a strategic one that literally rewires your brain. I mean, think about Henry Ford. The guy famously had less than a 6th grade education, but he surrounded himself with geniuses in engineering, finance, and law. He didn't need to know everything because he built a mastermind that collectively knew everything it took to build a global empire. It was a shared brain trust. Okay, let's move on to the next major law, and honestly, this one might be the most important of all. After studying thousands of people, from the super successful to the folks who never got off the ground, Hill pinpointed the single biggest thing holding most people back. And it wasn't a lack of smarts or opportunity, it was something entirely inside us. 90%. Yeah, that's not a typo. Hill's research showed that 9 out of every 10 people are held back by a lack of self-confidence. He called it the #1 wall between you and the life you want, and he was convinced that this wasn't something you were born with, but something you were taught. But this is exactly where the book starts to feel like a dangerous blueprint. Hill didn't just point out the problem and say, good luck. No, he gave a specific, step-by-step formula to systematically build unstoppable self-confidence. He treated it like a muscle that you could train through daily exercise. So here's the core of his formula, and it's meant to be a daily practice. Step 1, action. You have to demand persistent, nonstop action from yourself. Just keep moving forward. Step 2, visualization. Every single day, for at least 30 minutes, you vividly imagine the person you are becoming. Get that picture sharp. Step 3. Demand. Use autosuggestion, what we call affirmations today, to literally order your subconscious mind to build confidence. And finally, step 4. Write it down. Get your life's aim on paper, and never ever stop trying to achieve it.
And that leads us perfectly into the final principle that really pulls it all together. Because you can have a mastermind, you can build all the confidence in the world, but if you don't have a target to aim at, all that energy just fizzles out. Hill called this target your definite chief aim.
Across every interview he did, inventors, titans of industry, you name it, Hill found there was one trait that every single one of these wildly successful people had in common. It was the absolute, non-negotiable starting point for any major accomplishment.
Singleness of purpose, not a list of wishes, not a vague hope, a crystal clear, laser-focused objective. He argued that without this one definite goal, everything you do is scattered and weak. It's the compass that has to guide every single decision you make. And that's the real difference, right? A wish versus an aim. Most people just kind of drift along with a vague idea of things they wish would happen. But the people Hill studied, they had a written, specific goal. And they chased it with what he called a healthy obsession. It was the first thing they thought about when they woke up and the last thing on their mind before they went to sleep.
And so, this book, from nearly a century ago, the one rumored to be too dangerous for the public, leaves us all with a very direct, very powerful challenge. It handed people a playbook. Build your team, engineer your own confidence, and then focus all that power on a single burning obsession. So the only question left for us is, what's yours?